Hi there, welcome back. So let's start this video by using a quote, and the quote reads, "You can't manage what you can't measure." So I believe that the quote is self-explanatory. If you need to manage something, then it is essential that you should be able to measure it. Now, in our particular case, the thing that we are managing is our Instagram page and our audience, and the way we measure them is using the insights and demographics tools provided by Instagram. Now, there are actually four types of insights and demographic tools that Instagram provides us, and they are the individual post insights, the audience insights, the reach insights, and lastly the content interaction insights. And in this section we'll be taking a look at all of these insights. Now, to begin with, let me show you how to view the individual post insights. So as you can see on the screen, on the left side you have to click on the profile icon, and I pointed an arrow to the profile icon. And after clicking on the My Profile icon, you have to take that particular post of which you need to view your insights. And you can see that there's a View Insights icon at the bottom, and I pointed the arrow towards there. So if you click on that View Insights icon, you would be able to view the individual post insights. So now as you can see on the screen, this is how the individual post insights look like. And you can see that there are a lot of things. So let's take a look at them one by one. So now as you can see on the screen, the first thing that you're going to see on the individual post insights are the engagements. So you can see that these four things are collectively called engagements: the number of likes, the number of comments, the number of reshares, and lastly the number of saves. So now as I've shown on the screen, your main focus should be on getting more number of reshares as well as more number of saves. Well, a lot of people are obsessed with getting a huge number of likes as well as a huge number of comments. And what they forget about is that they forget to focus on the number of reshares as well as the number of saves. So you might ask me, why should I focus on the number of reshares as well as the number of saves? Well, I think I have told you about this earlier, but let me repeat it to you as it is important. Well, to repeat it and answer that question, well, I have two answers for you, and the first answer would be when you have a huge number of reshares as well as a huge number of saves, what it indicates is that your content is having a tremendous amount of value, and also it indicates that your followers really like your content, and that is the reason why people save your content as well as they reshare your content on their Instagram story as well as to other people. And that is the first thing that I wanted to tell you, and that is focus on the number of reshares as well as the number of saves, and automatically you will be pumping up the numbers of likes as well as comments. Okay, great. Now let's move on to the next thing that you see on the individual post insights. So as you can see on the screen, these two things are the next things that you see on the individual post insights, and they are the reach insights as well as impressions. So now you might ask me, what is the difference between a reach as well as impressions? So let me kickstart this by giving you the difference between a reach as well as an impression. So as you can see on the screen, the definition of reach is the total number of people who viewed your post. And on the right side, you can see that the definition for an impression is that the number of times a particular post was viewed. And if you still haven't understood the difference between a reach and an impression, imagine that I posted an Instagram post, and imagine that I viewed my post 10 times. So in that case, the reach would be 1 because I am only a single person and the post has been reached to one person, and that is me. And the impression would be 10 because that post has been seen 10 times, and it does not matter whether the same person viewed it or not. It is just the number of times that particular post was viewed. So in that particular case, as I've said, the reach would be 1 and the impression would be 10. So I hope you understood the difference between what a reach is and what an impression is. So now let's take a look at the reach metrics as well as the impressions metrics. So as you can see on the left side of the screen, I posted the reach metrics. And under the reach metrics, you can see that one particular post of mine got a reach of 104,718. And just below that, you can see that there is a division of the reach between followers as well as non-followers. And you can see that around 6,217 of my followers saw my contents, and the rest of the people who saw this content, that was around 98,501 people, those people were non-followers, or the people who weren't following my Instagram page. So you can see the division of followers versus non-followers. So another thing that you have to note here is that I posted this post when I had around 10,000 followers. So around 6,000 out of my 10,000 followers saw my contents. So you can see that when I had only 10,000 followers, around 98,000 people came to see this post. So that means that a lot of new people are coming and visiting your Instagram page, and that is actually a very good sign. But on the other side, you can see that only 6,217 of my followers saw this post out of the 10,000 people. Now let's take a look at the impressions metrics, and you can see that under the impressions you can see from explore, from hashtags, from home, from other. So I'll be focusing on from hashtags. So you can see that around 26,957 people came to see this post from hashtags. So how will I use this metrics of hashtags? And what you have to do is that one thing that I wanted to remind you is that you should not use individual post insights isolated, or you should not use them individually. What you have to do is that you have to take the individual post insights of the contents that you posted for say a week or say for a month, and you have to compare those insights with each other. So that is how you use individual post insights. So imagine that I have 3 sets of hashtags and I want to find out which set of hashtags works the best. So what I'll be doing is that I'll be using these 3 sets of hashtags alternatively, and I'll be using them over for a month, and I'll be comparing with each and every post, and I'll be able to find out which type of hashtags works the best for my Instagram page, and I'll be trying to focus more on those kinds of hashtags. So now let's move on to the last and final thing that you're going to see on the individual post insights, and that is the profile activity. So you can see that the number of profile visit is 238, and you can see that the number of follows is 77. So how will I use this profile activity? So what you have to do is that you have to focus more on the profile visits. So if a huge number of people are visiting your profile, then that means that they like your contents, and that is the reason why they're checking into your Instagram profile, and they would be checking your other contents. And if they like your other contents, then they would be following you. So you have to try to pump those numbers up of profile visits. And as I've said in the previous slide, try to use these individual post insights in comparison, say over a 7 days period or say over a 1 month period. So what you'll be doing is that when you post over say 1 week, and if you notice that 1 or 2 type of similar posts gets a huge number of profile visits, then that is an indication that people like that particular content. And what you have to do is that you have to try to create more of those type of contents where you get more profile visits. So to access these insights, there are actually 2 ways. So the first way is go to your profile on Instagram, and you can see the Insights button. So click on that Insights button, and what I've shown on the right side of the screen will appear. And on that screen you can see that I pointed the arrow towards total followers. So you can click on that total followers and you'll be able to get the audience insight that I've told you about. Now one of the things that you're probably going to see in there is the most active times. So this is pretty self-explanatory. This metric shows the most active time in which your followers are active. And the metric shows the most active hours in a day, as well as it also shows the most active days. So in the case of the most active days, which you can see on the right image, my metric shows 21.4k followers are active on all days. Now let's take a look at another metrics, and in this metrics you can see that you will be able to see the graph of your followers, and you can see that in that there is overall, then there is follows, then there is unfollows. So you can see that the number of people who have unfollowed you with a red line, and the number of people who are following you with a green line, and the overall would be the total number of follows subtracted by the total number of unfollows. So that is denoted using a blue line. And another thing that you have to note here is that this is for the last 7 days. Well, you can change the filter to say a maximum of last 90 days. So you can see that around 68.5% of my followers are women, and around 31.5% of them are men. Well, let's ask the same question over here. How to use these kinds of metrics thoughtfully? And my answer to you would be that there are 2 ways in which you can use this metric. And the first way is that you can check whether your targeting was right or whether you have targeted the right audience. So for example, say that you're running a page only for women. So if you look at this metrics, if I'm running a page only for women, you can see that most of my followers are women, and I can say that I've successfully targeted women to follow my Instagram page. But imagine that I'm running a page only for men. So if you look at the metrics, you can see that there are only 31.5% of men and most of them are women. And that means that if I'm running a page only for men and most of my followers are women, then there is a serious problem for you. So that is one way you can use this metrics. You can check whether you have targeted the right audience. Let's move on and take a look at another insights, and you can see that this insights is called the location insights, and you have the top locations of city as well as countries. And in the countries, you can see that around 43.1% of my followers are from the United States, 14.2% are from India. And you can see that in the cities you have Nairobi, you have Chennai, you have Cape Town, and all those kinds of cities. So again, let me ask you the same question. How are we going to use these kinds of insights? And as I've said previously, for the gender insights, we use the same type of reasoning over here. You use these insights for running advertisements, as well as you use these insights to check whether you have targeted the right audience. Now let's move on to the next type of insights, and the next type of insights are the age range. So you can see that there is a division of age range for all, then we have for men as well as for women. And as usual, if you ask the same question on how to use this matrix, firstly, you can use this matrix for advertisements. So if I'm low on budget and if I have to narrow down my audience, I'll be trying to narrow down the advertisements to only an age range of 25 to 34. And the next thing that you can use with these metrics is that you can check whether you have targeted the right age. So imagine that you're running a page for millionaires, or say you're running a page for teenagers. So you can check whether you have met your targeting correctly. How to access the reach insights. So as you can see on the screen, go to my profile and you can see that there's the insights icon, and click on that insights icon. After clicking on that insights icon, what I've shown on the right side of the screen appears. And you can see that I pointed the arrow to accounts reached. You just have to click on the accounts reached and you'll be able to access the reach insights. So now let's take a look at the reach insights one by one. And as you can see on the screen, after you click into the reach insights, this is the first thing that you're going to see. So at the top you can see that there's a filter for the number of days. So I put it to the last 90 days. You can make it as short as last 7 days to as large as last 90 days. So I put the filter to the last 90 days. So that would be the past 3 months. So you can see that the accounts reached is 274,612. And just below that you can see that the reached audience, and you can see that there's the top cities, and if you scroll to the side you can see the top locations, and you'll be able to see the top gender. So you'll be able to see the location insights as well as the gender insights. So let's move on to the next thing that we are going to see when you click into the reach insights. And the next thing that you're going to see in the reach insights are the followers as well as the non-followers based on reach. So you can see that over the past 90 days my contents reached around 23.5k of my followers and around 251k of non-followers. And just below that you can see the content interaction division of reels, posts as well as stories. So in the case of reels, you can see that around 222k people saw my contents from reels, and then around 73.8k people saw from my Instagram post, and lastly around 10,000 people came to see my contents from my stories. So I hope you understood how to use these metrics. Now let's move on to the next thing that we are going to see. And the next thing would be at the bottom you'll be able to see the profile activity, and you can see that around 16,766 people came to visit my profile from my contents over the past 90 days. And just below you can see that in comparison to the previous 90 days it has been reduced over 27.1%. so it is actually a bad sign. So what you have to do is that you have to try to make more quality contents, and you have to try to increase those number of profile visits. And I've told you how to post quality contents. You have to focus more on posting Instagram reels. And if your contents fall into the category of funny, relatable, informative, visually or audibly appealing, then that means that your content is having value. So try to post those kinds of contents and you'll be increasing the profile visits. So now let's take a look at the last thing, and the last thing would be the filters. So you can see that there's the top post as well as top stories as well as top reels. So I'll be just showing you how to use the filters for the top post, and the process is the same for top stories as well as top reels. So as I've shown you, click on that arrow that I've shown you on the left side of the screen, and you'll be seeing what is on the right side of the screen. And on the right side you can see that my contents or my Instagram post has been filtered based on Instagram reach. So reach is my primary focus, so I'll be using reach as a filter, and you can have other filters too. All you have to do is that you just have to click on that filter icon that I pointed my arrow to, and after clicking on that you'll be having a huge number of options. And as you can see on the screen, there are options like business address tabs, call button tabs, comments, email button tabs, follows, impressions, likes, and so on. So what you have to do is that you have to choose the filter that you want to focus on, and as I've told earlier, I'll be focusing on reach. And after selecting the filter for reach, let's go back to what we have seen, and you can see that the contents that got most number of reach is at the top and the least number of reach is at the bottom. So when you filter your comments like this, say in the case of reach, what is going to happen is that you will be able to see the comments that got the top reach. And after choosing the filter, what you have to do is that you have to try to create comments that are at the top of that filter. So I'll be taking the first 2 rows and I'll be trying to compare it with each other, and I'd be asking myself, why did my followers like these comments very much? And if I find any similarity between these 6 posts, what I'll be doing is that I'll be trying to create comments related to these 6 type of posts. So that is the right way in which you're going to use this filter. You'll be trying to find the top comments and try to create more of those type of comments.